All right, so a little bit about Globotel. So I'm the CEO of Globotel. I guess we started, well, Globotel was formed out of an agency. I used to have my own agency, which was called Ocean Feather, which I sold back in 2014. And when I sold it, I joined forces with an outsourcing agency in Pakistan. And we joined forces basically to try to put the best of outsourcing together without any of the risks of outsourcing. So we tried to make it as safe outsourcing back then was sort of pretty spammy and pretty messy sort of an industry. And we tried to reduce the mess to make a really world-class offering for agencies. So we're full service agencies, a full service digital agency resource partner invested in your success. I'll talk a little bit about that, what that means a bit later. We've got 24-hour customer support. We have staff serving agencies across 9 countries. So we're supporting agencies in 9 countries across the world. We try to, everything we do, we try to ensure it gives digital agencies competitive advantage to scale. And scale is sort of an important concept, which is a little bit different to growth in that you want to be able to go further with what you got, do more with what you already have rather than just grow your costs along with your revenue and not really have any net gain over time. We want to see you have a net gain by doing more with what you have. So staff, we have staff in 5 countries at the moment, which is we've got a lot of people in Pakistan. We've got people in South Africa, wherever there's anything that touches brand, we use South African resources. A lot of virtual assistant style of people in the Philippines, Australia head office. Steve's out in the US, so we get access to resources in the US. We're also looking to expand into Eastern Europe. There's a lot of good technical staff in Eastern Europe and also in South America, where there's a lot of good sort of sales staff in South America. So we're looking to bring those into the mix. Clients, we've got clients in 9 countries at the moment, which is just quickly run through: Australia, South Africa, US, UK, Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, Netherlands, and the UAE. And the good news is that the agencies across the world tend to have the same challenges and issues, which is quite good for getting intelligence about the industry to see what works best across the world. So we can, furnish you guys with that sort of information to help get past a lot of the common issues we have. Talking about supporting agency businesses to scale, what we try to do is we try to take a lot of the fulfillment tasks off agencies so they can more focus on strategy and consulting and the real value add to clients. It's certainly something that's talked about a lot in the agency world at the moment, is we want to move beyond fulfillment and get more into strategy and consulting. Our systems are designed to ensure we can handle the business. One of the challenges, I think, with being an agency, certainly when I was an agency, is going from 3 to 4 staff is actually quite a big risk. It's adding an extra 30% to your cost structure in human resources, and it's a big jump in capacity. So how do you actually fill that capacity before you get that person, and how do you manage the work? It's quite tricky. In our business now, we've got over 300 staff. Going from the 300th staff member to the 301st staff member is a lot easier than going from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. So most of those risks, we can handle and take off your plate. And a good example is we brought on a big client in New Zealand not too long ago and basically started 100 SEO campaigns within a week, and there was no interruption to our business at all. So taking that sort of risk away and those sort of challenges away is a big benefit to our clients. We have dedicated fulfillment for ActiveCampaigns funnels and dedicated resources to support with ActiveCampaigns, which is why we're here today. We are full stack, so we can support you with all your fulfillment needs. We do pretty much everything in the digital agency field. And we price our services 100% with your margins in mind. So we look at industry rates. We recognise that if we charge 60% of industry rates, you're not going to be able to make much money. So we don't do that. We look at trying to maintain our prices within a sort of a 25% range, 25 to 30% range of industry rates, so you can get good margin and make good profit in your businesses. And we also recognize that if we don't succeed in supporting you to success, we will literally die as a business. So we're we don't have any backup. We're not doing SEO direct to our clients as well. We're not selling direct. We're just 100% focused on supporting agencies. We don't even need to sell to agencies. We don't look for your SEO business. We look to support you as you supply your clients with services. So if we don't actually do a good job in supporting you, you'll leave and we'll go bankrupt. So we 100% tie our success to yours. So that's a little bit about us. Let's get into the information today that we want to present. So it's interesting, just in Australia, there's been talk about recession, and I was sort of thinking about it last week that I haven't seen much at the moment today myself as to whether recession is biting in Australia. But I had a bit of a clothes shop last week, and when I do that, I tend to go through my old stuff and give it to a friend who is the manager of an op shop for a Uniting church down the road. And I got to the op shop and it was packed. Like, I couldn't get a park. And there were so many people, and I spoke to Anne and she was saying, yeah, it's been like this probably for about six to 9 months now, and it's just people are struggling. So on the Gold Coast here, I don't think necessarily it's so much about the interest rates at the moment, which I'm assuming they're going to bite at some point, but certainly the petrol prices and the food prices increasing. It seems like there's a lot of people starting to struggle. So that gave me a little bit of an insight as to, it's kind of maybe has started, and we need to start thinking about what we're doing in our business and in your businesses. So recessions, how do we do it? How do we prepare for recessions when we're agencies? And one thing to think about with this is quite often businesses, when we hit a recession and they start struggling, quite often the two things that they cut, the first two things they cut is spending on coaching and spending on marketing. And, I think the marketing thing is probably a business error. But that's what happens, when things get tight and they still have to pay their mortgage and pay their staff and all that kind of stuff. Quite often marketing goes out the window. So, which makes things a little bit more tough for them again, and it becomes a bit of a cycle. So one of the things we need to think about is how do we get in front of that and stop that? So I think a little bit of mindset before we get to what we should be doing. And one of the things that I commonly think about is, in my business, what do I actually need? And I think one of the good things and the positive things with a digital marketing business is we're not like a Qantas. Like, a business like Qantas will probably need, and I'm just plucking this figure, it doesn't mean anything, but they might need 10,000 people go through the doors to break even every single day. There's big numbers of clients. Now, in a digital agency, we don't really need 10,000 people. Maybe we need, if we're comfortable today, maybe we just need to not lose clients, have a net, like through a recession, maybe we just need to make sure we don't go backwards. So if we lose a client, we have to replace it. Maybe we're not quite comfortable with our figures, and maybe we need 3 clients a month for the next 12 months to get to where we're comfortable. Whatever it is, the point with all this is that we don't need a lot. We don't need so much that we can't actually go out and just make it happen. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind, that we can actually literally go and make it happen. So if, maybe we lose 20% of our clients over the next 18 months, maybe that's a worst case scenario, but how many is that? Is that 10? Is that 15? How do we plan for that? How can we make sure that we don't lose ground and it's 10, 15 clients? I think we can work out that if we have to, we can just go and do it. One of the challenges that we have as digital agencies is we do these marketing campaigns and expect our clients to come to us. But if we get out of that mindset and say, well, I can actually just go and do it, even if it means I have to go and knock on doors in a business estate for the next, month, I'll actually get it done. If we start this whole recession management process with a mindset that I can just get it done if I get out there and do it, I think that things, will have a much more positive mind frame going into recessions. So one of the things that we can do today is try to make ourselves completely indispensable to our existing clients. So we should be looking at heightening our service levels. If we have a bunch of clients that are, on fixed term projects, maybe there's a 12-month period on an SEO campaign, now's probably the time to try to get out there and see where they're at. On a personal level, not just a campaign level, have a personal conversation with them and see if you can tie them in for another 6 months or another 12 months. But see if there are other things you can do. Maybe they're getting bogged down and need help with, writing their content or doing their social media or something. How can you actually get in there and become completely indispensable? It's half of the game is making sure that your clients, all your existing clients, know you're there. If you haven't spoken to them one-on-one for 45 days, I think the number is, you're as good as dead to them. You're not in the front of their mind anymore. They don't know you exist anymore with their conscious thinking. So the idea is to get in front of everyone, your entire client list today, and do it as a see how they're going. What are their plans for a recession coming on? Do they think the recession's coming on? Do they want to try to outrun the recession? Just have those conversations. Be the person who's having those conversations. Become, we go from I think there's 3 steps that I learned about being a business person with our clients. And first is the service provider, when you're actually just doing a job. And from there, you become the trusted advisor, the person that they speak to about your job when they're planning. And from there, you become the wise counsel. And the wise counsel is someone who not just speaks to you about what you're doing in your industry, but they speak to you about business generally. That's where you want to get to. So if you want something to do today to prepare for the recession is have a plan around what you're going to do to make sure that you keep all your clients and not lose a single one. And that's to become indispensable. So that's the first step. The second thing to think about is niche. When I actually started as a digital agency, I was sort of 2003, 2004. There was a real anti-niche with digital agencies because people wanted to be the only person in their industry that you helped. But I think digital marketing has gone completely full circle with this, and people are looking for the expertise niche by niche. And but one thing, we certainly saw this with COVID very clearly, and things like recessions or world events, they definitely harm specific niches. There are niches that will become a victim of a recession, and then you have niches that actually benefit from a recession. So if you're a niche person in your agency and you focus on a niche, one question to ask today is this niche one that's likely to benefit from a recession, or is it likely to be damaged by a recession, or is it agnostic? It's neither going to go either way. But it's a good time to start thinking about, well, if this niche or this industry is going to shrink during a recession, maybe I should have a look at some other niches or aligned niches to see if there's a pathway that's going to make it easier for me during an economic downturn. And I'll just shoot across to Steven now. Steve, we did a YouTube video not too long ago on this topic and had some analysis around some of the industries which do well in a recession and some that don't. So maybe you can give some feedback around those different industries.
Yeah, happy to. And Damo, it's a great call on the niches. I think it's and guys, just some by way of a bit of background here. Obviously, with us supporting so many digital agencies from all over the world, we're on the front line of all of their digital marketing campaigns. So the data that we pull out comes from all of the years of experience that we've had at specific times of the year running campaigns for digital agencies as they run them for their clients. And over those years, we were able to pull out the data and use that data and that business intelligence to really advise and say, hey, if you're having exactly what Damian's talking about, coming up into a recession, what industry specifically can you target and potentially pick up a new niche on? So we, with the months of February to April, the months that we're coming into and the next 3 to 4 months of business, specifically some of the niches that obviously grow are those they seem pretty obvious, but there's a few that are actually surprising. Things like home improvement is a big one that grow in these times of years, in these times of periods. Furniture, decor, fashion, and beauty, and of course, even sports and recreation. This is one we saw through COVID times. Even though it was people were tightening belts and there were a lot less people getting out there, people were having to exercise, and the exercise or the gym and fitness niche exploded during that time. So that's just some of them that really grow out. And also another one to watch as well is trades and pets. Those are another two that really exploded through that time. Of course, also, there's a few that grow, and there's a few that in this period during non-recession times, we've seen things like travel and restaurants, which is grown. Obviously, now in recession, potentially those are not good niches to go after, because people are tightening their belts, as Damian's story about going to the thrift shop explains. It's it could be a time that those are dropping down. But if you're focusing on some of those, the ones I mentioned previously, those could be good ones for you to focus on and get the good results. And Damian, we can always share this business intelligence with the members, the people who've attended, so that they can see our specific, our layout if they want. This is what we did in our own webinar as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and there's logical niches too. So, and sub niches. So you think about, for example, if you target accountants, accountants are great with strategy and tax returns when things are going good, but there's also a subset of accountants that do things like, administration of businesses that are going bankrupt, or, helping companies who are in trouble. So maybe focus on those sort of sub niches too. Recruitment, for example. Recruiters are great when everyone's employing, but there are outplacement advisors too when everyone's laying off staff. So maybe that's a sub niche in recruitment that you could look at. So, really, really give some time to think about where you're selling, and if it is an economic downturn, are you, cutting off your legs at the knees, or you're giving yourself a pair of skills to help stride through these times. All right, great. So keep it moving. One thing we do at Globotel every 3 to 6 months is we'll go through all our credit cards, we'll go through all our bank statements, and make sure that we're not spending in areas that are unnecessary. So, and we've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, even doing it now, we still find stuff that just slips through. So it's really, really important, I think, that you have financial discipline leading into sort of these sort of times. And I know when I was in the agency game, in the agency world, I always had my little pet projects that I was working with on the side. Maybe it's time to, I don't think it's great to have pet projects in a business. If it's something that's got real legs, maybe create a separate business to do that. But if you've got, personal or non-digital agency stuff going through your books, it's probably a good time to just move that separately, so you're not draining resources from your business, which is resources that'll probably be really useful if things do get a bit tight. So just clean up your books, make sure you're only spending what you need. You really want to actually free up capital to focus on growth, focus on maintaining or growing during these times. So, and this should become a discipline that you do regularly. All right, next, flexibility. Hopefully we're all Aussies in this room. One of my mates here on the Gold Coast is a guy called Murray Dalmeda. You may have heard of him, possibly not. He's actually the guy that started Donut King. So Donut King, I'm sure we've seen in all the shopping centres through Australia. He's actually in the Australian Franchising Hall of Fame. And at one point, I think Donut King was the second biggest distributor of coffee in Australia, and at that time the biggest was Qantas, and Qantas was giving it away. So he knows his business, and one of the things that he told me once is, he said, Damian, just got to realise that fixed costs kill businesses. No, fixed costs kill businesses. One of the things you need to try to do with your business as often as possible, I guess, is try to create variable costs rather than fixed costs. And by that, I mean costs that are aligned with revenue growth and revenue contraction. So if your revenue grows, these costs grow with to support that revenue, and if your revenue contracts, those costs contract also. The two biggest fixed costs most businesses have are a lease on a building or an office, and human resources. So payroll. So I know work from home is a lot more popular now. There are a lot of co-work spaces that can turn lease expenses into variable expenses. There's a lot of coffee shops, a lot of cafes that we can go and sit at. If you do have a lease, is it possible? Well, I wouldn't be signing a 2-year or 5-year extension in a lease if that's what's coming up. But there are better ways that you can do space for office and for people, and other ways to make it flexible. The reason why we want to make it flexible is because if we're forced into a decision, we don't want to have penalties that are going to make things harder for us. We want to be able to make these decisions in a flexible way with minimal business interruption. The other one is human resources. When we employ people in Australia, we know it's quite difficult to let people go, and it's we also, on the relationships, not just the legal side, on the relationship side also, it's quite difficult to let people go. This is one of the reasons why a resource partner like Globotel is often a great sort of decision for resourcing a company like a digital agency, like your agency, because with us, we don't have tie-in contracts. If you lose a client who's doing SEO, you just stop getting charged for the SEO work. So it 100% aligns your costs of fulfillment with your revenue. You might have other fixed costs in your business. It's a really good idea to have a look at what these fixed costs are and see if you can get more flexible with them. We had once a company that was doing it was process software. We had all our we use Monday now, as a different company before, and they were charging us license fees, and we were paying for 200 licenses back then, and we only needed 75, but they went from 50 to 200. That was like a big fixed cost that we didn't have flexibility around. We actually left them. That was one of the reasons we left them in the end. But, that's a good example of, I've got a big fixed cost here that's inflexible. Maybe I go and speak to them now and say, look, I only need 75. Can you give me a 100-person license instead? If you don't, maybe I need to look for, an alternative. So you want flexibility going into times that aren't necessarily going to be perfect for your business. So try to align expenses and costs with your revenue. So one thing that I mentioned before is, quite often businesses and digital agencies are quite similar. They stop doing advertising and marketing when we hit a tough spot. It's really a good opportunity to actually do more. And even if it's more expensive to get a deal, do more, be better. It's really a good opportunity to claim market share when everyone else is, shrinking their marketing and shrinking their advertising. So, when COVID hit, we increased our marketing spend by 300%. I spoke to the guys. I had a goal. I didn't want to lose a single staff member. We achieved that, but it cost us a lot. We spent 300% more than marketing. We teamed up with a business coach, and we're doing daily clarity calls for our entire database. And we still dropped 30% of revenue in the first 2 weeks of COVID, I think. But we quickly got that back, and we outran the pandemic. And I think with the recession, if we have this mindset of this is my chance, I'm going to do more, I'm going to be better with it, I'm going to be more proactive with it, we can actually get market share. Okay, and the last thing is that I wanted to talk about with recessions is just to move past this mindset of where the leads are going to come to us. We have to get out and get it done. Sometimes we have to pick up the phone when we're not comfortable with it. We've got gaps if we've got time, we've got gaps in our calendar. What can we do to get another lead or get an introduction? We've just got to have this mindset that the numbers aren't too big when it comes to the crunch, but I'm going to get out and get it done, and just be absolutely driven and don't take any prisoners and just get it done. All right, so that's it for recession. Were there any questions? if there are any questions in the chat, maybe Steve, you can read them out to me.
Yeah, got you. Nothing at the moment. Yeah, here's one from Billy Bauer. Says, was the client with 100 Google AdWords in New Zealand a franchise customer? Not a question, but it is amazing how much all this software as a service subscriptions add up. So referring to your story there about
No, they were SEO, so they weren't Google Ads. So yeah, the point with that is that with the way we do resourcing at Globotel, we started 100 SEO campaigns within a week, and there was no interruption to business. One of the questions I ask our clients to think about as far as business improvement is, if you've got 1,000 clients tomorrow, what would break first? And that was a sort of an example with that we could bring on those campaigns and nothing broke. But that's a good way to sort of, without digressing too much, to think about your own business improvement. If I was overwhelmed by clients tomorrow, what would break first? And that's possibly the first thing you should look at fixing in your business. Just conscious of time too, we're moving on a bit, so I might keep going. We'll do Q&A at the end, I guess. So quick fire sales, this is talking about getting it done when you need to. So the first thing I want, like quite often, certainly when I was a digital agency, those sales meetings were a bit of a stress for me until I worked out how to play my numbers. So I just wanted to talk to everyone a little bit about that we don't need to, if we do sales properly, we don't need to worry about the sales call. And the way it works is if we understand the revenue we want per month, we should be able to work out how many sales per month we need to get there. If we know that, we can work out how many proposals per month we need to get those sales based on our close rate. If we know how many proposals we need, we probably can work out how many discovery calls we need to get those proposals into opportunities for those discovery calls, which leads us to our leads. We know we need to lead this number of leads to get the opportunities, and then the math should filter through. So if we actually know these figures intimately in our own business, all we really need to worry about is how many leads we need, because the maths will filter out. And if we understand that, then we don't have to be so stressed about the sales call and hitting, whether this sales meeting counts or not, because if we miss this one, we know that, well, 1 out of every 3 works. So maybe we just need to feed some more leads so we get the other 2 sales meetings. So it's really, really important to know these numbers. And I know quite often as digital agencies, we advise our clients to know these numbers, but we're not so great at capturing them and keeping them front of mind ourselves. And then we're in that sales meeting and we know we need to get it because this is what our goal is, or we need to buy this thing or whatever. And then it changes the nature of the sales call because it means so much to us. So as far as getting those leads, one thing that we don't use our databases very well because we don't actually think about what they are. So I wanted to share some of the insights about databases you can hit today. If you really need to get some sales today and you don't know where to start, think about these databases. Family and friends. This is a big database. My agency, Ocean Feather, we started 2003 and we sold it in 2014. So 11 years. My brother was a senior business banker at the National Australia Bank, and I never told him what I did. So he had all my clients, and I never explained to him, this is what I'm doing. Because if I had have done that, he could have said, oh, all my clients need your services. Let me introduce you to a few people. So family and friends are a real resource that quite often we don't leverage. And I'm here to encourage you to go start speaking to your friends and your family about what you're doing and see if they've got people who need your services. Business communities, there are a lot. BNIs, you've got your chambers of commerce. We've got the business league here on the Gold Coast, which I think is Australia-wide. You've got, if you're a bit bigger, you've got your EOs, you've got your tech groups. There's lots of business communities. Get involved. That's when you get your good referral-based businesses, referral-based introductions, and also you get to meet strategic partners who are ongoing business for you. Social media, we all know how that works. Existing clients, there's 2 levels of, business development you can do with existing clients. One is what else do they need? And the other is who do they know? So don't forget to speak to your clients. When I was back with Ocean Feather, I actually had a notepad that all my staff were using to take notes for their meetings. And the last part, I had basically a script in this notepad, and the last one was, who do you know? The last question on the notepad was, who do you know, and what else do you need? And I think they were swatched around. So whenever there was a phone call with my staff members, with the client, they asked both of those questions because they're on the notepad. So we kind of, I'm sure we left money on the table at certain places, but we certainly tried to capture as much potential revenue from our clients as we could. Partners, strategic alliances, we know how they work. Past clients, if you've got clients who have left 6 months ago, 12 months ago, maybe it's time to go and speak to them again. Maybe their new provider is dissatisfying for them, or maybe their cash flow issue when they left has gone away. It's a good time to re-engage with them. Unsuccessful quotes. If you have a look at the unsuccessful quotes you put out over the last 12 to 18 months, you might find there's some real opportunities there too to re-engage. Maybe they tried someone who didn't work out. Maybe they did nothing and are ready to talk again. If you've done a quote, they're obviously in the market for something. These re-engagement processes at Globotel, they're part of our sales and marketing process. We do these every month. We've actually created a process around it so that, unsuccessful quotes, our version of that is someone who registered to use us and never used us. What we do is at the 3-month mark, when they haven't used us, we'll go and have a chat to them. We'll touch base with them on social media or their email or their phone number, whatever we have, and try to have a meeting to see where they're at and start a new conversation. So there's a really good book when I used to be in B&I years ago called The 29% Solution by Ivan Meisner. It's all about using your networks to get leads. And it's real down and dirty, get out and do stuff kind of a book. And it's got it's got some scorecards and that sort of thing you can use also. If you don't really know strategy behind just going out and getting leads from what you've already got, this is a really good resource to use. All right, so in your current lead list, which includes all those databases, there's probably 10% is a pretty commonly accepted stat of people that are in the buying zone. And 3 of those are ready to buy now. They're just waiting on the right offer. So one thing I wanted you guys to think about is, what are your offers? How often do you make an offer to your database? How often do you tell people something that makes them think that's kind of what I need? How often do you vary the offer? Offers go stale. When we're saying the same thing over and over again, it becomes background noise. So how often do we vary the offer? How often have you tried something new? When I say something new, I'm not talking about your service, but as far as putting the message in front of people. So these are definitely important things to think about when you're presenting, new offers to people or presenting offers to people. If there's something that's not working so well anymore, try to vary it, try to mix it up, try to do something new. And always come back to what do your people want. So I've just got some ideas. I wanted to just talk about some of the stuff that we've done with offers. And I think some of the important things is, firstly, your offers have to make sense. So for example, one of the things that we want to do is make our offers scarce. So there's a limited time or a limited amount to give people an incentive to act, but that should make sense to people. There should be a reason why it's a limited availability. And, if we're selling SEO, or if we're selling, lead funnels, or, we're doing landing pages for a database kind of thing, maybe it's something like, look, one of our big clients has just shut up shop. They've gone bankrupt. It's tough times. I've got a little bit of capacity. You're one of our great clients, or you're one of the people we really wanted to work with. We've got one of our resources has limited capacity now. It's going to be booked up. If you're really interested, let us know and it's yours. Otherwise, we're going to move on and give it to someone else. Just try to think, how do I make this make sense? Maybe it's not, you've lost a client. Maybe it's a case of, we've just employed another person. We've spent the last 3 months training them. They're ready to go. Because they're brand new, we wanted to offer this deal for you. We're only offering this to three of our clients, or we're only offering this to 3 people that was talked about. Make it make sense so that the person's not thinking at the other end, your prospect's not thinking, this sounds a little bit strange. All right, so one of the things when we talk to people, there's a lot of we have a fear of losing subscribers in our database. I just want everyone to just let go of that fear. Like if they're going to unsubscribe, they're not going to do business with you anyway. So get them out of your database. And this sort of pertains to how often do you make an offer, how often do you put something out there. Quite often we only do an email campaign once a month. I don't think that's enough. I'd probably, if I was back in agency, I'd be putting an offer out every week maybe, or an email every week, or something on social media every week. If people go, they're probably not going to use us anyway. So, if we get a client a week rather than one a month and lose people that weren't going to do business with us, probably a good thing. So I just want everyone to sort of lose fear of losing subscribers. If you haven't engaged with your email list, a really good way to re-engage an email list is a 9-word email. It's a strategy Dean Jackson has shared with the world. And basically what it is a short, boring email which demands a response. And you've got to have to make it as boring as you can. If you actually look at your Gmail account, what you'll see in your Gmail account is personal emails, and you'll see commercial emails. And the commercial emails are always something like, here's 5 crazy reasons for you to do something. And then your personal emails are like, from your best mate, and the subject will be something like, Beer Friday. The subject's going to be category. So with a 9-word email, you want a very boring subject-oriented, very boring category-oriented subject. We keep ours to 1 to 2 words, like maybe it's going to be workshop or webinar or something like that. And then you just you get rid of all the branding in the email, so it looks like a personal one, all the template stuff, and just write one question. Hey John, we've got a webinar on Friday on this topic. Do you want to join us? Try to create the conversation. This works brilliantly for us. We get 48, 50% open rate, and we get lots of replies. We probably do one of these every 6 weeks or so to keep these leads coming through. So if you haven't tried one of that, do some research, 9-word emails, create a bunch of them, and work out a schedule for them. A great one for a digital agency is, new clients as a subject. Hey John, are you still interested in getting some new clients? Kind regards, what your name is. One of the things that we do is we have a giveaway offer. So what we do is we offer agencies $1,000 to try our services. The reason we do this is me making it make sense. The reason we do this is we recognize using a resource partner is a bit of a change to your business model. So we want you to do that on us. You can try us out, see if we're a good fit, and we'll pay for it to take the risk off you. So this is one of the ways we do. We do a giveaway offer, but as a digital agency, you can do something similar. It doesn't have to be $1,000, but a meaningful offer to someone in your list could be, it's going to spend $500 on advertising this month. I'd rather give it to you. So how would you like $500 worth of services to get you going with a SEO campaign or whatever, 12-month contract down the path? So these sort of ideas are just, what do people actually want? People want money. People don't want to be made fools of. People want to be part of something. People want to go to things and learn about things. How do you actually get these people to put their hand up? By putting what they're looking for in front of them. One of the things we use in our social media groups is, we're currently supporting $20 million worth of digital agency revenue. Is that something you want to know more about? And we know our numbers, so we know that that's the figure that we're supporting now for our clients. So across the board, we're supporting $20 million worth of digital agency revenue. Is that something you want to know about? What's an offer that you could similarly craft for your business that sounds something like that you put in front of a community of your potential clients? When you see things on social media that work, you take a screenshot and then rework it to your audience to see that, to put it in front of your audience. That's a really good tip that we do whenever we see something. We take a screenshot, shoot it through to a marketing team. How can we use this in our context? And follow-ups too. When we do offers, 3 really good follow-ups to keep and this is, through your EDMs, through your social media, first follow-up, you can say, just making sure you got it. I put this email out, I thought you were interested, making sure you got it. Then the second one could be, what did you think about it? And then the third one, are you still interested in it? So every single offer goes out 4 times in front of your audiences, not just once. So that's how offers work. And just going back to the maths, maybe we want 6,000 revenue per month extra each month. How do we get that? Well, maybe that's the $2,000 retainer, so we need a net of 3 new clients a month. What does that mean? Maybe we need, if we've got a 50% conversion rate, we need 6 proposals. Maybe we convert discovery calls 1 to 3 turns into a proposal. Obviously discovery calls, you might be finding people that aren't a good fit for you also. So you need 18 discovery calls, which might mean 36 opportunities a month. And from there, you might need 108 leads per month. So the point about this is when you know the 108 leads per month to make it work, that's what you go and chase. But maybe, you don't need to go straight to filling the funnel. Maybe discovery calls or maybe opportunities, you can jump in there because, you're in a really vibrant business group all of a sudden. Maybe you're chasing accountants and you got invited to an accountant industry group, and all of a sudden all you have to do is turn up or reach out or whatever. You can actually shortcut this process. The point is, if you know your maths, you know exactly what you have to do, you can actually just go out and do it. All right, so I recognize that we're moving on with time, so I just want to really rush through this last section. And it's more of a case study of one thing that we did recently for one of our clients. And this is about maximizing what you already have. And back to the recession idea is you've got clients already. How can you maximize the value of what you have with those? And this is also the difference between growth and scale. If you're growing, you can grow and not become financially successful, because if you're growing your revenue at the same percentage you're growing your costs, well, you never get anywhere. So we want to maximize value by doing more with what we already have, doing more with less, even better. All right, so this is an example. So we've got, at Globotel, we've got a thing called this agency success team. And this is a small team in our business that deals with our agency clients just to find success with what they already have. So sometimes it includes lead generation, things like, improving LinkedIn outreach strategies and things like that. Other times the guys go through a client's database and say, here are where the opportunities are. So this is an example of, and everything we do here, you can do within your own business yourself. You don't need support to do this. It's just a matter of doing it. So, and this is looking at the optimizing client lifetime value. So one of the, we quite often get caught up in I'm an SEO agency, I'm an ActiveCampaigns certified consultant. This is what I do, and we sell that. So one of the ideas is sometimes we get blinkers on what we do, and it's an idea to have a fresh set of eyes on everything we do. Obviously that's where business coaching comes involved, but also, just partners in the industry. If you've got an accountant that helps you, or if you've got a graphic designer who's going through similar challenges as you, just have, sharing ideas can sometimes give you a better perspective on where your blind spots are. And what our approach with this sort of different perspective that we took with this client is, rather than just selling a product, one product, what if the goal was to get the client the optimal marketing outcome? So our agency success team, they were talking to this agency in South Africa and found quite a large client. I think they're in insurance, and they said, well, let's have a look at this as what's the optimal marketing outcome. And they went through, they did a lot of research, and they came back with a proposal. They came back and they said, look, if we're going to go, you've got this client on a 20 keyword SEO package, but if we're actually going to go for if they actually want to go get the optimal marketing campaign for them to get the optimal marketing outcome, you need this whole other bunch of services. And the team put a proposal together in the branding of the agency. So the guy said, well, look, this is what we think they need. We've done all the research. Here's a proposal. You just have to take it out and sell the services to them. So the agency actually they took that proposal that was done for them. And they sold 5 new services to an existing client. Google Ads they were doing 20 keywords SEO. They went to a premium level of SEO. They did social media pay-per-click, social media management, and lead generation optimization. So the total value for this agency was an extra 3,000. Well, they're in South Africa, but equivalent to 3,000 a month, Aussie dollars. So the point with this is that, we help them do that. We help the agency do that, but they could have done it themselves. I'm sure that we've all got opportunities within our client mix that if we take a step back and have a look, we can have similar results with the right clients. And all it really takes is to take that breath. Sometimes we're too close to everything. Take a step back and and have a look and have it maybe a different perspective or maybe a different question, and maybe everything we need to be where we are and the size that we want is already in front of us. So that's pretty much it for the information for the 3 points we wanted to cover off today. I just would if you want to have a look more at Globotel to support you in your business, we're happy to. I mentioned the $1,000 credit to try us out. That's certainly available to everyone here today. Part of what we do also is regular one-on-one meetings with our heads of departments, HOD's heads of departments, to make sure that all your projects are on track for what you're trying to do. We have industry training events. We give all our agencies free audits so that they are prepared with information they need to make the sales they need. So their audits on their prospects sales opportunities or prospects marketing opportunities. So we give sales training and documentation. We have virtual assistants to help with project management. And if you want a little bit more information about all that kind of stuff, you can have a look at Globotel Marketing. We've got a /AC for ActiveCampaigns there where you can just reach out to the team. We've also got certified ActiveCampaigns consultants and solutions. So done for you funnels and services, trained resources to help you with your book of business, access to our agency success team. There's the link again. And we're at Q&A. So I sort of rushed a little bit of that because I saw we're going over time a little bit, but
no, that was excellent, mate. So much value in all of that. I mean, let's just dive into the Q&A here. Can we get a recording? Yes, we can, Julian. I will follow up with that.
I'll get the PDF slides too if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a question from an anonymous attendee. What kind of margins, ballpark or range, can an Aussie digital agency get with Globotel services?
So we try to keep our prices at around 25 to 30% of industry rates. Industry rates are highly variable and your cost structure is highly variable too. So the actual margin that you get really depends on your side of that. And a good example, we have a 20 keyword package, I think for SEO as an example is, I think it's a little bit less than $300 a month. And we have agencies who sell that for $700, $800. And we've also got agencies that sell that for over $2,000 and they sell it equally as successful. So the actual margin that you can get really depends on, your cost structures and your pricing. If you want a copy of our price list, you want to have a look at how that works, just go to the globotelmarketing.com/AC and reach out and we'll get that to you.
This might have been touched on, but how do you handle communication and collaboration with partners throughout the project lifecycle?
Partners being agencies?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as we'll only talk to you as the agency, we will never talk to your client. We keep very much arm's length there. And the way we do it, all our official communication and process management happens on Basecamp. So you'll see, as you go through a project, you'll see every step. You'll have a list of our processes, and every time something's done, that'll be noted on Basecamp. And there's communication that happens on Basecamp. We also Skype and Zoom and all that kind of stuff for the, so every month you can get one of our heads of departments and go through all your projects in detail and make sure everything's on track. So we're very open to those one-on-one conversations and proper conversations. We'll record most of them, and then we'll actually, when we record it, we'll put the recording into Basecamp just to make sure there is a record of everything that's said.
Yeah, brilliant. What percentage of fresh leads are referral leads, and in brackets via old clients or networking?
Is that for who?
That's a good question. I'm not too
So,
sure.
so here's, I think one of that's sort of like I mean, it's a good question. And it changes as your business evolves, I think. So, for example, when you're starting with business, a lot of your referral based, or most of your business will come from referral basis. Like you want to have your first client, second client, and then your clients will refer to you. You join a BNI, you'll get one-on-one referrals to the group. And then as your business evolves, maybe that'll change. So you more have strategic partnerships, and you won't necessarily see it so much as a one-on-one referral. You more see it as an ongoing exchange of business. And maybe you'll have an alliance partner with someone who you do like you do events together, and then all of a sudden you together brought 30 people into the room. That's one event, but it's a different sort of process too. And then you have SEO going, and that starts to bring leads in. As far as there's no fixed percentage of what's what, and it will change as your business changes.
Brilliant. How do you ensure quality control when you're working with partners and agencies?
Yeah, great question. So we're very process driven. So what we want is, we don't want to be, we're not the brilliant creative agency that has these award-winning campaigns. What we are is consistent. What you'll get every single time with us, and we manage that through process, which we manage on Monday. So all projects follow a very specific process that every step's ticked off. We have an internal Q&A team which randomly audits about 5% of our projects to make sure there's good compliance with our processes. Sometimes processes break down a little bit because we grow, or clients grow, or the industry changes. So we're very aware of that, and we have change management into our process to make sure that they all work. Any complaint that comes from a client, from an agency, we do an audit on that complaint. Sometimes the agency needs education as to why certain steps were required. Sometimes an employee needs education as to why things should and shouldn't be done. But it also keeps us really honest with compliance to what we want you guys to get the same result every time when you use us, so you know what you're selling. So we manage that through process. We're also ISO certified, which means once a year we get an external auditor to make sure that we're doing what we promise. ISO is like a standard of quality control that I think engineers use. It's globally accepted, and there's a lot of rigor around that, and we have to spend a bit of money to get that done each year. I guess the other thing that we do, just to make sure that we're keeping our product aligned with what our agencies need, is we put Net Promoter Score through our processes too. So basically, that means, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of Net Promoter Score. It's a great way to manage client expectations and the client experience. We get a lot of feedback from our agencies as to what's working for them and what's not working for them, and that gives us an opportunity for ongoing improvement. So we keep getting better.
Brilliant. Well, that's as many questions as I can see. Although we might have had one more come in. Here we go. Do you have any power guarantees that we can pass on to the client as a means to win a sale?
Power guarantees being, so we've got guarantee around SEO that we give agencies, but SEO is pretty much the only thing we put guarantees around at this point, unless I'm wrong, Steve. Is that right?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So what we do with SEO is, obviously you can't guarantee Google rankings because that's Google. You can do the best, and sometimes it still doesn't work out because Google changes something, or there's something going on. We've even had mistakes in the algorithm that we've seen. But what we can guarantee is, we try to guarantee a return on investment. So we have certain levels of expected performance that for SEO specifically, that if we don't hit, we continue to serve, but we don't charge for it. So the idea is, sometimes an SEO guarantees get your money back. It's kind of, you spend so much effort getting a client that you don't want to give your money back and have them go off and have a different SEO agency especially if you've done all the work and it's probably 1 or 2 months away, and then that other agency gets all the accolades when you did all the work. So what we do is say, 6-month mark or 12-month mark, we expected this, it hasn't happened. We'll keep serving you. It's only going to be a month away or 2 months away. Not going to charge you, just to make sure the client gets good value. So that's the main one that we offer. There are some caveats around it, like the agency and the client did their job too. They've done their blog posts, or they've done, they've let us change things that we needed to change when we make site speed enhancement recommendations. They were carried out, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Damian, Steven, this has been incredibly valuable. How can people, what's the best way to people let me start again. How best can people connect with you after this webinar?
Yeah, great. So I gave a link there it's just globaltelmarketing.com/AC for ActiveCampaigns. There's some more information there about some of the things that we've done recently, but I mean, either go there or to the homepage, and there's the forms that they can request someone to talk to them. Steve, maybe just run through what we do when someone asks for.
Yeah, by the way, I've put the link in the chat over there for those who can't see it. So pretty simple. I mean, obviously you'll see the pretty clear up at the top there form to book in for a discovery call with the team. The team will immediately come back to you, set up a time, give you a calendar to book in a time. And we just start off by basically having a conversation with you around, learning a little bit about your agency, where your pain points are, what your specific niches are, what you're trying to achieve. Where you're getting stuck, the history of the agency, just a little bit of a discovery session. And from there, we go off and we put together a little proposal for you so that you can understand how best we can support you. We are pretty specific about how we work. We're not for example, we're not a switch on and leave solution. We very much partner with your agency. But go back to where Damian started off with. We've very much invested in your success, because if you succeed, we succeed. You sell more SEO campaigns, you're going to send them to us too. So we're invested in that process. So once we understand that, we pretty much immediately get you going. We activate the project, activate the voucher if you qualify for it, and then we basically just start going, cool, let's get you that support. You can use us risk-free. We don't charge you for anything as long as the voucher's there, as long as you're under $1,000, and you get to try out whatever project, whatever services you want with us on one of your clients' campaigns, so that you're able to make sure that we're the right fit for you. We're not the right fit for everyone, and some agencies are the right fit for us. So it's about partnering and finding out, who's best for us and how can we work and support them.
Awesome. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Damian and Steven, for your time. Any closing comments before we wrap up?
I just think, I guess the main theme for me, given where we're at economically, is just be positive, and don't wait, and know you've got the power yourself to make it happen. It's potentially going to be the best time for agencies going forward, I think.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
we all concur, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. I'll follow up with the recording as soon as possible, and thanks everyone for your time, especially Damian, Steven, and look forward to chatting with you all again soon.
Right. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Right.
Cheers.